Guys, what is up? It's Alan here playing Black Ops 2 Strike Force mission. It's the first one, India. Really good mission. I hope you guys really like this gameplay. Now, quickly before I run out of time, because I actually made a commentary just there, and I did it before I'm doing this one because I wanted to fit it in the time frame and see if I had enough time. And I have about a minute spare to do an introduction like this to talk about it. So it's the next part of the commentary will be a story that I had when I was younger about why I don't really drink much and how I lost my best friend in a way. And I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So I'll talk to you guys later, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the commentary. Hey guys, what's up? It's Alan here playing some Call of Duty Black Ops 2. We're playing a Strike Force mission. Now, you're not going to be able to hear the gameplay that well or the voices because I've lowered it down a lot, and that's because I want to do a lot of talking, and this is the only really gameplay that you can do that without like not being able to pay attention to the story, because what they're doing is they're just telling me what to do and giving me hints and stuff, so you don't really need to hear it. So I thought I'd open today with a quick story of something that happened in my past. Now, none of the names that I'm using besides my own will be real. I'm making up names just in case the people involved don't want to be named or whatever, and I respect that. So they'll know who they are anyway if they watch this video. But anyway, it's the story of how I kind of not lost my best friend, but we stopped being best friends, because like we're still friends, but we don't really talk much anymore. And this is really what happened to it. So this is about 5 years ago. I was 17. We were 17, in fact, all of us. And it was Halloween 5 years ago. So like I'm 22 now. So but what happened was we like let's call my ex-best friend Seamus, right? And our other friend James, let's say. Well, the three of us were in the park, and Seamus came up with the idea that it'd be a good idea to get some beer, have a couple of pints. Now, back then we didn't really drink much, and I know we were 17, so it was illegal technically for us to get drink and for them to serve us. But they managed to get a couple of cans each. I don't know how. They probably went to the offo and tried their luck, and they got lucky. But they drank. They both drank two of these cans now. Anyway, see, I didn't have any money at the time, so I didn't get anything. But I didn't really care. They like gave me like a little bit every now and again, but I wasn't complaining because I didn't really like alcohol back then. But anyway, after they finished these cans, we were wandering around like the estate and the park, and then James was like, "Hey, you know what? I think my dad has some whiskey, like back in the house. Maybe I should go and try and sneak that out." And Seamus was like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Let's do that." So I was like, I don't really care, but they're like, grand. So they went back, and James went into his house and came back about 10 minutes later with the big bottle of whiskey. And I don't know, they just went to town on that, I guess. Seamus and James, like, they kept drinking and drinking. Like, I had a couple of a few like gulps, I suppose, but it was too strong for me. It was like 60%, I think, and burned my throat. So I was like, you know what, guys, I'll leave it here and you can finish it. But between them, they finished the bottle. So that's half a bottle each, more or less, of 60% whiskey plus 2 cans of beer each. And like, considering the fact that we hadn't drank much at all beforehand, like I hadn't drank at all before that ever, and I don't think they had drank much either, so necessary to say they were pissed. Now James was okay because after a while he threw up, and then he was still drunk, but he wasn't overly drunk. So he was just like on a great buzz and whatever. But Seamus, on the other hand, didn't get sick, and he just ingested all this stuff. So his system wasn't coping too well. At the start of his grand, he was drunk like James, and he'd be like falling off he'd be sitting on the bench and he'd fall off, and he'd be like, "Oh my god, how did I fall off?" and all this stuff. And I thought he was just messing, putting it on, but as the night progressed, it didn't. So after a while, James came up with the idea of, oh, let's go to a couple of other friends. So we went to their house, and it was good or no. We were just chatting, watching TV, and James and Seamus were just like, Seamus was lying on the couch and James was just sitting around. But Seamus kept getting worse and worse, Eventually he fell off the couch and smashed the plate. And our other friends weren't too happy with that, like naturally. Um, so what they did then was they wanted to kick him out, and James, he didn't say anything. He just sat there, um, as you do. He's just like having his buzz. He didn't really care about anyone else at the time, and like I mean, I've been drunk a few times since then, so I know what it's like. You don't really think about other stuff, like, so I don't really blame him or anything. But I thought it was harsh of the other guys. They kicked him out, but again, uh, understandably, because he'd just smashed a plate in their house and was like bringing the attention, because we were all underage. So if their parents found out he was drunk, like, we could have all gotten in trouble. So I decided, here, look, I'll just take him outside and hopefully it'll wear off before he has to go home, because we didn't want to get caught in trouble, because then we'd have to explain to our parents, and that wouldn't have been fun. But anyway, so me and Seamus walked outside, and Seamus could barely walk, so I had to support him. And then it started to really hit him, all this like crap, all this alcohol that he had taken. So he started like vomiting and stuff. So I'd have to hold him over like the edge so he didn't puke all over himself. And as we were walking down, he kind of fell over a wall, like a local wall, and he'd be vomiting over himself again, and then vomiting on me as I picked him up. It was not a very pleasant thing, I'll tell you that. And so I picked him up anyway, and I was like, what are we going to do? Like, there's no way that he's going to sober up within the next hour or so, And like, at this point, it's about like 11 or 12 at night. So I didn't, and when I said earlier it's Halloween, it's like the night before Halloween. Like, it wasn't actually Halloween night, because that would have been like a lot worse. But anyway, so I was like trying to deciding what to do, and then he's like, here, I need to take a piss, but like, he said it in such a way that I could barely understand him. So he said it and zipping himself, and I'm like, what the hell? So I kind of like pushed him away from me, and he started like just pissing, but then he slipped and fell, and just started pissing all over himself as well, which I laugh about now, but I mean back then I was just really scared and was like, oh, what are we getting into? So I picked him back up anyway, and started like half dragging him, and like I decided then to take him back to my house, because there was no way I was going to wait around with him for like an hour or two, and while to wait to see if it would wear off, which it didn't look like it was going to do. So I called my mom to help me bring him up, because he was really heavy and he was like starting to kind of pass out. So I called my mom up, and she came and met me like up at the park. Like, this is just around the corner from my house. Like, so together we brought him to our house, and when we got home, we put him down onto the kitchen floor. And at this point, he's like slumped unconscious, and he eventually then kind of woke up occasionally, half like not fully awake, but just propped up, and he'd be vomiting and stuff, and then passing out again, and it was a mess anyway. But after a while, my parents decided to call his parents to bring him up and collect him, and maybe bring him to the hospital or something. So when his parents showed up, they weren't. Naturally, they were very unhappy, and they'd be questioning me, saying, "How did he get in this state? What did you do to him?" So I explained to them, "Well, this isn't really my fault. Him and our friend James went and got some drink, and I guess they couldn't handle it, and then they were like, well, how's this James? Is he this bad?" And I was like, well, no, he threw up, and so, he got rid of most of it. And they're like, okay, well, how did they get this drink? But I couldn't just say, well, they went into James's house and robbed it. So I was like, well, I don't know, they had it when, I got home, so, or when I came out, they're drinking it. And they're like, well, how come you're not like this? And I was like, well, I didn't drink it. So, and then they got really angry at me, naturally, because they wanted to, like, put the blame on someone else other than their own son, and that's understandable. But anyway, so they eventually took him to the hospital, and he recovered, like, he was fine, and he had to get his stomach pumped and all that. But he was fine the next day. But it was pretty funny, because, well, it's not funny at all, like, I mean, but we had to clean up the kitchen as well, which was a mess, like the amount of vomit, and it was just disgusting. And probably the worst night of my life. This was anyway, looking back. But anyway, he the next day I called around to him to see how he was, but we talked for a bit, and he was just like, "Why did you have to go and tell my parents?" And I was like, "Well, dude, you were like so sick, and you were like vomiting all over the place, and I could not like keep you to like out of getting caught, you know." And he was just like really pissed off at me about that. But after a while, he forgave me. But you see, it was around then that at this time that he started to push me away and became closer to our other friend James, and they started to become best friends and push me out. And now they hang out with a whole crowd of other people that I've never met and really don't talk to me much anymore, which is cool because you know people grow apart as they get older, and that's fine. But I just thought it was a bit like bad because I was the only one who stuck by him. Like I could have easily have just left him. Like I wouldn't have, never would have done that. But I could have easily just left him uh, when our other friends kicked us out of their house and just went on myself. But I would have never been able to live with myself if I did that. So I made the hard choice and brought him home. And yeah, he got in a bit of trouble for that. But like, it was a better choice to make, you know. But since then, he's like kind of pushed me away, and we haven't things haven't been the same since. And in the past year alone, especially, we haven't really talked at all. So just wanted to get that off my chest and talk about that. So that's my story, and that's also why I don't really drink much anyway. Like I go out occasionally and I have a few drinks, but I never get properly drunk where I can't remember the next day or I get sick or anything. Like I get tipsy might be a more better description. So that's my reason. But anyway, guys, I hope you like that story and stay tuned for more. There will be I might do a story series every now and again, like when I come up with something that's interesting to say. But so that's pretty much nearly the end of this Strike Force mission, which is awesome. It's the India one, and it's the first one that you do. So I'll leave the commentary here, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. And I really hope you like this commentary. And I'm sorry if it's like annoys you and whatever, but that's pretty much I wanted to say. I haven't actually talked about this in a long time. Now just remember, the names like Seamus and James, that's not their actual names. But I just came up with them because I don't want to actually name them in case you know they don't want to be named, and that's completely understandable. So that's my story, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video, guys. Happy gaming, and I'm out.
That was one for the books, Mason.